Today for New Music Monday, we're going to take a look at the brand new record from David Bowie, and it's called The Next Day. This is David Bowie's first album of new material in nearly a decade, but to be honest with you, I really didn't like the previous 2 or 3 efforts he put out from the studio. This takes us back about 20 years in the Bowie catalog, and to tell you the truth, I wasn't a fan of the lead single off of this album either. So you have to be honest. David Bowie is pushing 70 years old, so if he puts out a subpar album, you kind of almost have to forgive him for at least trying. But the first big question has to be, at his age, is David Bowie still able to deliver a powerful, meaningful, moving vocal that's worthy of the name he's created for himself over the decades? In a word, yes. In another word, absolutely. And he proves in many ways all across this album that he has as much energy and power as ever. This record starts off with a sound and an energy that is absolutely on the complete other side of the spectrum from the lead single, and the drive and sound you find here is excellent. This one brings a harder beat and rhythm than you might expect, and the guitar that works in the background is nothing short of phenomenal. To be honest, this is about as good a way to set a tone for the album as you'll find, and it works throughout the entire record. You'll find a massive range of instrumentation throughout The Next Day, which to be honest is not that surprising coming from David Bowie. You've got guitars, synths, these deep sliding horns, saxophones, driving bass lines, and so much more to give this such a great, complete, unique sound. And it's this diversity in instrumentation that ultimately makes the album fresh and engaging from song to song. And when you strip these down, you just can't deny that a number of these songs are great rock and roll songs whether or not David Bowie was a music legend already. There's even a few tracks here that border on anthemic and are almost impossible not to sing along with. When you take it as a whole, you can really see The Next Day representing the entirety of the career of David Bowie. But he manages to create a retrospective, almost nostalgic feeling without being nostalgic or rehashing old sounds. He just manages to keep striking the perfect balance of finding inviting musical arrangements, but never letting his voice be too far away from dominating the overall song. And these tracks are brilliantly mixed, with a number of them having a wonderfully vintage sound to them. Along with this, the songs really run the gamut thematically. From anti-war songs to songs that seem to be about the corruption of youth to what may very well be the greatest love song that David Bowie has ever written in the form of the song The Stars Are Out Tonight. Speaking of that song, if anybody was still questioning whether David Bowie had that it factor anymore, this answers that with a resounding yes, as it has a power and energy that's better than almost anything he's done in 40 years. That all being said, there are 1 or 2 songs on this album that are definitely not up to par musically. And there's a couple pieces that go on way too long. And along with this, there is a point in the middle of the album that absolutely drags on a bit. But to be honest, they're very easy to overlook when you take this record as a whole. And when it really comes down to it, the only solid gripe I could come up with about this record is that the album art sucks. Sorry, that's the best I could come up with, but from someone who brought us covers like Aladdin Sane and Ziggy Stardust, bringing us nothing more than a post-it note with text over it, come on, this is something he is far better at. In the end though, even after nearly a decade away and approaching 70 years old, David Bowie sounds as strong as ever, and it's very clear he has a ton of musical creativity left inside him. And I honestly can't see anybody arguing him taking a while for another album if it comes out this good. So taking all of this into account, I'm sure you figured out that on the Buy It or Borrow It, The Next Day is a solid buy it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you dug it. If you did, go ahead and click subscribe, leave a comment, click like, whatever you want to do. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr right here, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.